Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and today on the podcast we have Juliana Canfield from The Calling on Peacock. You might also recognize her as Jess, who is Kendall's assistant on Succession. Juliana and I went to high school together, and so this was just a really special full circle moment to be able to interview her for my show. And you know, I knew that at a certain point I would want to invite Juliana on and talk to her about her career, and she really is a rising star in Hollywood. So when I got the opportunity to do the junket for The Calling, it was a no-brainer to do this and to finally make it happen. And it was just really fun. We took a trip down memory lane, had some laughs, and we also just talked about her career and you know, laying the groundwork for what's to come. And she's already done such amazing things in her career. It's really taken off, and it's been incredible to watch. I mean, Succession is one of the most talked about top shows on TV, and she's so great on it, and she's also great in The Calling. You know, it's a David E. Kelly show, so you know it's going to be huge. You know there's going to be twists and turns, and he knows what he's doing here. And so for her to be a part of it, to be second billed on the cast is incredible. And I just love talking to her, and you know, it's just special to watch your friends succeed. Like, whether that person's from childhood, high school, your adult life, your friends' wins should be your wins as well. And that's definitely true of Juliana. I mean, I'm watching from afar, and it's been so fun. And she deserves it so much. She's worked so hard, and it was really fun to get to talk to her in this professional capacity. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy this interview with Juliana Canfield. So you can stream The Calling on Peacock starting on November 10th. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you hear podcasts. Enjoy.
Oh my God.
All right, we're just jumping into it. Juliana, you and I are laughing because I've been waiting for this moment. I've been wanting to do this with you.
Okay, do we want to fill everyone in? What's the backstory here?
The backstory is that Juliana and I went to high school, middle school and high school together, I think.
When did you start? Did you go to Beauvoir?
Yeah, but you didn't go to
Okay,
Beauvoir,
so
did you?
I did.
Well, but Beauvoir, you don't really get the interactions with the other grades.
True.
Okay, but we became good friends when I was like a sophomore in high school. Or
And
freshman and sophomore around that time. We did cross country together. We would carpool to cross country meets together. We would share the headphone jack on the bus, on our iPods. Like we had some good times together, Juliana.
Yeah, we go like truly way, way back. And I have to tell you, I was looking at my schedule and I saw your name and I was like, this is the best gift that I could have gotten as I fall asleep tonight. I've been looking forward to this all day.
Yay. No, like I've you know, I had our other friend Sumner from
the other
home had it
Canfield.
on. Yeah, the other Canfield on my podcast earlier this year. And I knew I needed to interview at some point. And when this came through my email, I had to take my chances. But Juliana, like it's a full circle moment, and I'm like grinning ear to ear. I like don't even want to get into the questions yet.
I know. I just want to look at you. Wait, where are you, Gibson?
I'm in my office in New York. Where are you?
Okay, I'm in LA at the London.
Oh, cute. Love that. I've done interviews there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like again, I've been watching you from afar, Juliana, and I'm so just like inspired and proud of you, and it's just been so cool watching you just create this career for yourself that's just so impressive. And I just feel like you're on this trajectory that it's just so fun to watch.
Well, I have to say I feel the same way about you. So exciting to see you carving it out and making it happen. And so just like there's something so nice about having familiar faces in the biz that you know from before.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also just like, high five, buddy. Look at you in the know with your own podcast and your funny Twitter.
Oh my God.
Cultural takes.
Too much Bravo on my Twitter account. Not enough. Well, there's some Peacock on there, so there's some Housewives on Peacock. There we go.
Yep, there is. That's true. That's true.
But Juliana, I thought about you before I knew this was happening. you know how summer gets away from all of us in New York, and it's just, we're
Uh-huh.
always whatever. And I was catching up on all my magazines, my New York magazines, my Vogues, and I opened a Vogue from earlier this year, and whose face did I see but your face, like on the front page of this spread about up and coming stars in Hollywood. And again, it's just one of those moments. That must have been a pretty surreal thing to know, to open Vogue and know that people are going to see your face there.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I, especially from between the ages of like 10 to 15, truly worshipped at the altar of Anna Wintour's Vogue. And when I found out I was going to be in it, I don't know, my brain kind of broke. And actually, I think I was vibrating on such a high frequency of like nerves and excitement. Went on that photo shoot day. I got there. I was the first actress who was doing the shoot. And the amazing photographer, Amy Truce, pulled up her camera, took one picture, and was like, actually, this has never happened in my long career, but the camera just broke. And I was like, it was me. I did it. I'm so nervous and excited. I broke the camera with my
Juliana,
mind.
I thought you were gonna say that they had gotten the shot. Like it was just that there was the one
No,
picture and
no.
they got the shot.
I broke the camera, and I mean, there was like a wild goose chase that went on through the streets of New York to try and find what, I don't know. I don't understand cameras, but I really do think energetically I was so excited by the idea of being in Vogue that I broke the camera. So yeah, power of the mind.
I'm choosing to believe that. I'm choosing to believe that as well.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it was pretty surreal.
So I mean, okay, so we'll get into other stuff, but we're here to talk about The Calling, and
Yeah.
that's it's premiering on Peacock in November, and
Yeah.
I watched the first couple episodes, and I mean, first of all, it's a David E. Kelley production. We have Hans Zimmer on the score. We have some incredible names just like all around. Like this is there's some big deal names attached to this project, and
Yeah.
your second build actor, which is iconic. I mean, what is it? Did you know that all these people were going to be involved when you got the role?
I think when I auditioned, obviously David E. Kelley created it, so I knew that right off the bat. And I think that Jeff Wilbush was already attached to play Avi. And maybe after I sent in my tape, I had a phone call with David, and he was like, we're circling Barry Levinson. And I was like, okay,
Insane.
What's happening? This is too crazy. Enough is enough. I was like, they're gonna want me to do this. They're gonna need to find some like a little child star who's been famous her whole life to keep up with these pros. But it's kind of a dream. And Karen Robinson, also a total icon.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you, I was hanging out with her once in New York. We were in the East Village, and a mailman walked by with his cart, reversed the cart, and was like, I just have to tell you, you are the icon of my life. I love you in Schitt's Creek, and then kept going. She's an icon. Michael Mosley, also an icon, and such a veteran, so easy and just a seasoned pro. And the best thing about that is that you get onto a set and everybody's so confident in what they do and so generous with their talent. There's very little insecurity because everyone's just like, yeah, I'm great at what I do and I want to make you look good. And so it turned into a very convivial environment right off the bat.
I love that. And you said it's like you had to call David, and then you hear some of these other names that have been attached to it. Do you have a moment? I mean, you're so composed and you have so much poise, like I'm sure you're going to go into that, and you're a total pro already, but it's like, do you have a moment where you're like, oh my God, like, do you have like an imposter syndrome ever moment where you're like, you do belong here, but do you ever doubt that?
Do I have that? I mean, certainly. It, like, the day that I wake up without having one of those thoughts, I'll be in heaven. That's where I'll be. It's not for this earth. But I think well, I remember the first time I met Barry was in my like callback test. And I was super nervous. I knew he was going to be there and it was going to be with the casting director. And I was very nervous. I didn't know what he was going to be like. It's always, I think, strange to meet the man or woman behind so many classics or
Mhm.
whose work you've admired for so long. And my computer actually did me a solid on that audition day because my internet was so bad in the apartment. Every take we did froze halfway through. And I would be doing the scene and I would just hear, Juliana, you have to stop. You're frozen. You're frozen. And actually, in a really weird way, that took so much pressure off. I was just like,
Mhm.
the internet is the problem. I can't do anything about it. I'm not a tech whiz. I'm just an actress, and this is just how it's going to be. It just kind of took the tension out of the situation for me.
It almost like evens the playing field. You're relating on this just like such a trivial little thing, and we've all
Exactly.
been there in the pandemic. It's like we've all, when we do these virtual things, we've all been there where like the internet does crap out, or like you do have to
Yeah,
restart the Zoom, and like that you're right, that totally breaks the ice in a weird way.
yeah. It's very democratizing, if that's a word.
Yeah.
It's like, here we all are with
Hmm.
our crappy Wi-Fi.
Hmm.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is a sense of imposter syndrome that can happen, but I think that I was really lucky. All of the people on the show who I would be most intimidated by were like the first people to make me feel like I deserve
Love
to be
it.
there.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
And so
no
you played
hazing.
you played Janine on the show, who is really eager to work with Avi, the main character, and she
Mm-hmm.
gets to we find out in the first episode. And you know, when you book a role like that and you're so kind of like attached to this one character, like what conversations do you and that actor have in terms of like establishing that rapport, or figuring out like what you want that relation to really like come off as on screen?
Yeah, I think it's in this particular instance, very luckily, Jeff and I really got along right off the bat. I think we didn't have very many discussions about it because it just sort of happened,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is the best case scenario. It's all very well and good to like have some grand outline, but I think you can get a little too in your head about it
Yeah.
if you chat too much. And actually, Barry was so key in the early episodes. We would be doing a take and he would keep it rolling. And I remember, I don't know, I would sort of like poke Jeff literally, or I would do a really dumb joke and he would kind of laugh but kind of roll his eyes, or I'd steal something off of his plate and eat it and he'd be kind of pissed off but kind of tickled. And Barry would capture those moments and would come up to us afterwards and be like, that's it. Like, that's the relationship. Like, you're kind of a little bit annoying, but kind of in a fun way. And he's kind of annoyed, but he's kind of charmed. And that's where it lives. But it happened super organically.
That's exactly it. And you get that from the first two episodes. Like you're right.
Totally.
That's exactly it. Um, and this is also, again, it's a David E. Kelley show, and like a lot of his shows have, or at least recently, like The Undoing, Big Little Lies, a lot of them have this central mystery, and it's like, by the end, obviously viewers in the audience, we get roped in, and there's always some sort of big twist or some big reveal or some whatever. You know, I guess one, like as an actor in this show, when you, I'm sure there is that moment later on in this show, like of some big reveal, or to that central mystery. But like, one, what's your, like, how do you react to that? Do you react to that as a viewer, or like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you kind of have that moment?
Yeah, two things happen. One is I think I get a little too big for my britches because I'm playing a detective and I'm like, I know the answer. I know what happens. I I would bet my life savings on it. This is what happens with this character. This is what happens with this character. This is how this is going to wrap up. That's a false lead, that's a red herring, da 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 da. Strong and wrong every time. I was never correct. Never correct.
So we're broke. We bet the life savings and we're broke on
Yeah.
on
Now
all
we're
fronts.
broke. Accounts
Okay.
in the red. Exactly. But yeah, when I felt very confident in my theories, but I also was like on the edge of my seat, begging for new episodes. And I think that's because I like watching crime mystery dramas. I mean,
Yeah.
The Undoing just I
What a moment in
The
time that
Undoing
was.
undid me. It really that was a moment in time. And so I would beg for new episodes because I couldn't wait to figure out what happened next. And David, as you said, is such a master of the slow unraveling of a mystery.
Yes.
And I think because of that, this story has like such surprising turns, but they always feel earned, which is my favorite kind of mystery. If
Yeah.
it comes out
Yeah,
of
that's
left
amazing.
field,
That's important.
I'm annoyed. But if I know from the jump, I'm also annoyed. And I think that this show does a really good job of creating many possible avenues that all kind of check out. And
Love that.
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I was wrong.
Though that's a good sign. Again, Juliana, like it's been really fun watching you and just seeing what roles you get and where you pop up, and it's just there's always something happening with you, and I'm curious for you as you are kind of continuing to build your career. You're in the beginning stages still, but you've had so many awesome moments already. Like, are you just really open to like doing, like, to kind of auditioning for a ton of different things and seeing what sticks, or are you thinking about like, okay, like is there like a big strategy inherent in sort of what you go after? Like, I'm just curious how you think about that, because you can do so much, and I'm just wondering, I don't know what your outlook is.
I think it's all very well and good in this life to have a master plan as long as you're prepared for it to be blasted to smithereens.
Sure.
I think so there have been certain things that I've wanted to do or types of parts I've wanted to play, and I put that out there and I sort of work extra hard on those auditions, or I make sure to tell my agent or whatever. But I think that the fun thing about being an actor is that it's really kind of like life's a box of chocolates situation. And as much as I'd like to take credit for how things have moved along, it's really just comes down to being like, sure, why not? Seems fun. I think as I get further along, I feel now a sense of like I want to keep learning new things and learning from new people. And so that might make me lean towards one kind of a project more than another, because for example, like I feel like I've done a lot of contemporary things where I'm in a sort of suit corporate environment, playing a 21st century girl in the professional world.
Yeah. And just like NCS taught you.
Yeah, exactly. This is our high school training coming back and I'm reaping the benefits. But like, I'd love to do something that feels like it's a super different time period, or that's like, I don't know, aliens, or a very different non-urban contemporary liberal landscape type of role. Just to sort of see what that would be like. And maybe I'll come running back to the NCS landscape.
So it really is about kind of like trying to chart new territory for yourself, and kind of, it's almost like challenging yourself into seeing, can I do this?
Yeah. And I think like there's a fun to be had in novelty in this business. And so I love doing this show, and I love doing Succession, and I've actually kind of had a blast doing everything I've ever done. But just like, okay, would this be fun? oh, what about this? Would that be fun? And you
Mm-hmm.
don't know until you try it. So that's kind of my
Mm-hmm.
approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you, because again, the Vogue spread that you were part of sort of had some other really amazing faces right alongside you in that spread, and sort of a new class of actresses and actors. Um, do you feel like you're part of like a kind of next kind of wave of people? And do you have people that familiar faces that you see a lot, kind of at different things that you feel like you've connected to through the business?
Yeah, I think at this point, well, I don't know about the first part of that question. I think it's a little hard to like zoom out and see what the big picture looks like
Yeah.
when we're like living in the cultural moment that we're living in. It's just perspective is almost an impossible goal
Yeah.
in
I feel
some
you.
ways. But I went to drama school and have really dear friends from drama school, many of whom remain my closest friends and have been, for many, many years at this point. And one of the great satisfactions of getting further along is watching all of them start to find success too,
Yeah.
and to watch our network get kind of like to infiltrate different parts of the industry, and to watch the crossovers happen. And like on this show, in the second half of the season, a classmate of mine who was a third year in school and I was a first year was a guest star. And I show up to work and I'm like, that's my friend James, who I've seen in plays since I was 23 years old. Like,
Incredible.
unbelievable. And that's kind of, it's just so satisfying and the best feeling. I love working with friends. I love working with people more than once and just feeling the sort of social and professional worlds overlap over time.
Mm-hmm. It's also cool to think about that you went to this drama school and you're with these amazing people, but everyone's taking these different paths, and
Yeah,
it's just you kind of are all at the same spot for a moment in time, and
yeah.
then you're all going in different directions, and yeah, those paths are gonna overlap and intersect, but like it's just cool that everyone kind of is on their own sort of trajectory in different ways. I think that must be cool to watch.
It is. And it's also the sort of thing I remember, like, I don't know, being young, when I was younger, I think a common question for an actor is like, whose career would you like to emulate?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting question. And I love hearing other people's answers. But I also think part of what's so great about being an actor is that it's kind of like ATV land. Like, you just get in your little, you get on your off-road vehicle and you just have to kind of figure it out. And
Yeah.
there's no way to map directly onto anybody else because everyone's different, unique,
Yeah, of course, baby.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah. So how have you reacted, as you're charting your own path
Mm-hmm.
when you don't get that role that you really wanted, or you
Oh,
don't,
devastation.
or is it really, is that how, like, how do you have you gotten it? I'm sure you gotten advice in terms of just like how you deal with that, because there must be a healthy way to like learn from that that thing that you didn't get or whatever.
Yeah, I think one thing that has felt important is to, and that I've been told, it's like okay to feel sad and to
Mm-hmm.
feel devastated, as I said, and give yourself a day, have your little cry, be self-pitying and in your feelings and think of all the things that could have been. And then it's just like, okay, on to the next.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of the time, I remember once I didn't get a part I wanted it so badly, and I was taking a train up to Connecticut to see a play at Yale, and I was crying so hard on the train that a stranger came up to me and asked me if I was mourning the loss of a loved one. And I was like, yes, a beloved part.
Yes.
But
Yes. A
then, like, the
character that
next
I will never
day,
know. Yeah.
exactly. Then the next day, I got an audition for something else, and I was like, ooh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
And that kind of, helps cut it off at the knees. But I also think, every time I haven't gotten a job, it just means that I'm able to do something else that I have gotten. And I think about some of the jobs that I could have gotten that would have kept me from doing some of the jobs that I have done. And like my life would be so unbelievably different
Mm-hmm.
if I had gotten those jobs that I was like so convinced were the ones for me.
Yeah, and it's a cheesy, cliche thing, but it's like it is going to happen the way it's supposed to happen, and it's just
Totally.
and there's also like you can't compare yourself to yourselves to sort of some of your peers probably either, because that's also like that's just going to eat at you as well, just seeing who gets that part or who know what I
Yeah.
mean.
I mean, I think I have a competitive spirit also, our
Of
high
course, that's
school,
healthy. Yeah,
you
so do
know.
I think we all do,
Yeah.
we all do.
But I can feel a little salty sometimes depending on who it is. With my friends at this point, I'm like, win for you, babe, that's a win for me. Like I want
Yes.
my girls to get the role 10 times out of 10. In the beginning it was hard because it really felt like when I graduated from school, it felt like the difference between being a professional actor and not being a professional actor was literally one job.
Hmm.
And I'd auditioned for 10 things and been rejected from 10. So each rejection felt so massive. And now that I've been doing it for a little while, it just sort of, each rejection feels like a drop in a bucket instead
Sure.
of like a make or break. And I know that if I don't get this job, there will be another one. And there's just it feels like exposure therapy after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and for you, I mean, like the role that you probably get asked about the most, and people recognize you for, and whatever. Like it's Succession. It's
Yeah.
Jess. It's like it's it's so recognizable at this point. And what was interesting is you know I feel like there was a term for Succession at some point where
Yeah.
it's an HBO show, so it's like under the radar ever. But like there was a moment where it kind of hit critical mass where I don't know
Yeah.
if it was during the pandemic when everyone was binging things, but like
I think it was the pandemic.
yeah, there was a moment when it like it the noise around it kind of went up like 10 levels, I thought. Did you feel that, and how did that feel as somebody on the cast of the
Yeah.
show?
I definitely felt it. I definitely
Yeah.
felt it. I don't know if it happened before the pandemic or during it,
Mm-hmm.
or if it or a combination. But I remember before the pandemic, if I would be out with a friend from the cast, if it was like a major person in, one of the family members, they
Yeah.
would get stopped. But I knew it was something crazy when people started stopping me because I was like, I'm Jess, I'm an assistant. I don't have any lines in the first two seasons. And
But you have
that,
the looks. You have the eye moments. They're
yeah,
just as
actions speak
important.
volumes. Yeah,
I completely agree.
she has a lot of, she's a very developed eye vocabulary. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mean, I love it. I love that show and I love working on it. And it was my first job, which just feels insane because I feel like
That's really crazy, Juliana. That's
I
really
know,
insane. Yeah.
I know it's so crazy. And like, I think any job that's your first job feels special in a way. You never forget your first love.
Uh-huh.
But like that, it also ended up being the show that it is. I just am like so devoted to that cast and crew. And as long as I've never, yeah, it's amazing. The attention that the show gets is deserved and delicious. And yeah, I mean, it's really a wild job. I love it so much. And at this point, I've known them all, it's like the defining,
Yeah, it's family. It's a
it's
family for you.
family.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and we talked about sort of how in a David E. Kelly series, there's always sort of like the big reveal and there's the twists and the turns. And for Succession, I mean, like they're really slow burn, but there are obviously moments where like the shock comes, or the surprise comes, or the twist comes. And because it is such a show that like pretty much everyone I know watches, it must be also like people want to know from you. People want, like, you know, that there's sort of like a lore around it almost at this point.
Yeah, I'm sitting on gold, to be honest with you. I
Text you after. I'm just kidding.
yeah, I can't resist. Yeah, you can text
Of
me for
course.
sure. You can definitely text me and I'll tell you everything.
I'm
Um,
just kidding.
no, yeah, I know, because I think actually I can see the HBO building from my
Mm.
hotel, and they yeah, they got eyes
Home away
on.
from home.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta love it. Hey guys, hey
Mm.
Casey. Um,
Um, yeah, but that must feel just like there's a power in that.
yeah, or it just I think maybe there's a power in it, but it's also it's such a delightful job, and it's nice always, I think, to be recognized
Hmm.
or to have the like experience of working on something be matched by its reception. And I think that's rare. I think a lot of the time you hear about projects that were like a total nightmare to shoot and they're beloved and everyone in the show is like, oh yeah, thanks so much for watching the show. Or you have a great time making the show and the results doesn't get the attention that it deserves, or maybe it does get the attention that it
Right.
deserves. It was more fun to make than it is to watch. But it's just one of those, I don't know, it feels like a once in a lifetime strike of lightning. Who could
Yeah.
have thought?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we're running out of time, but before we end, I mean, I'm just thinking back, like you've done so much stage work as well
Mhm.
in your life, and it's like that's really where, like, I feel like you cultivated this love for acting and really
Yeah,
kind of cut your teeth. And I'm thinking back to our days in high school when I was on tech,
exactly.
you were in Annie, and it was just a good time. Do you remember the prank that we pulled while you were on stage?
Was it this?
No, it was
Oh,
it was
oh,
Annie, and we changed the last name of who Annie was to a girl that was in my class.
Annie Lindell.
Yes, and we said it on stage in front of
And I
all of high
broke.
school. Yeah,
I
a
broke.
little bit,
Yeah,
and there's
there's
a
a
video of
video.
it somewhere. Yeah.
There's a video of that somewhere, and we're shaking with laughter on the stage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Shaking with laughter.
I mean, I'm just it's just cool. It's cool to think back to like a moment like that, or like just watching you on stage in some of these high school productions, and you're just, again, I'm so thrilled watching you, and it just, I don't know. There are really no words.
Well, by the way, I think that the Close Theater Company, as we were affectionately called,
Mm-hmm.
put on some very excellent productions, supported by our stellar A plus plus another plus tech crew. Gibson was one of the best tech guys you ever
Literally,
met.
like, in the Hall of Fame. Just
Hall of
kidding.
Fame. Hall of
Recording videos backstage. Yeah.
Oh, just incredible. The most technically supportive crew member you've ever met. No, we really had so much fun. Tech was you made tech cool. You and
Mm.
Sumner kind of made tech cool.
You know what?
Um,
I'm gonna wear that badge. Wear that badge as a badge of honor. So.
yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of I loved doing those plays then, and oh gosh, we really got up to. There were so many shenanigans, and it felt sort of
Hmm.
what I loved about it then, and I feel like now too, is that it feels like it's fun, but it's like serious fun.
Yeah.
Like we really all like bought in, and we were like, we're gonna do this play. Even when we did the pranks, it was like really considered, and like
Oh yeah.
the
Very.
stakes
It
were
was very.
high.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
It was in contention for the Tonys. It was
exactly,
that level in all of our mind. Yes, exactly.
did you
Yes.
watch Pen 15?
Of course. Oh my God. One of the funniest
Okay,
shows of the
the
past
play,
10 years.
when they do the play,
So good.
I was
So
like,
good.
this is my high
Oh.
school experience.
Heaven. Oh
The
my God.
drama.
Flashbacks. The
Oh
drama.
God.
Um, okay,
Yeah,
well, Juliana, I feel like I could go on for 5 hours with
I
you,
know.
but this has been such a treat, honestly. And
For me too.
I can't wait for everyone to watch The Calling, and
I
it's
can't
you're
wait.
fantastic in it.
Thank
And
you.
again, I'm so happy we got to do this.
Me too. Are you going to be home for Thanksgiving?
I am.
Okay,
I
see you there.
am. Ah!
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Thanks, Juliana. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In the Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.